Hello everybody and welcome to my Afterthoughts video, this time regarding the last movie of the Rocky franchise, Rocky Balboa or Rocky 6. Oh my gosh, this was just such a great experience. This was an awesome movie. It completely delivered. It was very satisfying to watch it, and I really think that all the Rocky fans, which includes myself, we got what we wanted and what we expected. You know, this Rocky Balboa movie had everything. It had emotional moments, it had great speeches, it had a kick-ass training montage, we had even some animals in there, you know, and of course then the desired typical ending with the inspirational achievement, feel-good feeling in the end. That was just fantastic. I really think that was a brilliant ending to this franchise. So the beginning was kind of shocking when we learned right away that Adrian passed on. Oh my God, that was just so sad and completely unexpected. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that was heartbreaking to learn and see Rocky sitting there at the gravestone, you know. And then we learned a little bit more about Rocky's life. He seemed pretty lonely, you know, but he had his restaurant. That was great. He opened the restaurant in the honor of his wife and he called it Adrian, you know. So he worked there and mingled with the guests and told old boxing stories. So that was great. And he tried to help a lot of people, you know, the good man he is. He tried to help little Marie and her son Steps, and he tried to help Spider by giving him free meals, and so that was very nice to see. And then of course let's talk about the concept. I mean, the concept was that an older retired boxer comes out of retirement and starts fighting again, and I thought that was very clever and not far-fetched at all, because you know, just look at Mike Tyson, you know, he's almost 60 years old, and in 2 weeks he's going to be in the ring fighting this Jake Paul guy. And of course I know Jake Paul is not some kind of world champion, I understand, but still the concept is the same, that an old retired boxer comes out and steps in the ring again. So I thought that was brilliant writing, not far-fetched at all. And then they used this computer animated fight to kind of pull the trigger with the people, you know, like let's got the society talking, and everybody was interested in seeing that matchup, and everybody was wondering how really would like to know how that would look like in reality. And then of course everything moved forward from there, and I thought that was again very clever by the writer. So thumbs up for Sylvester Stallone. And then of course we can talk about some scenes, you know, my favorite scenes. Although like in every other Rocky movie, you just have one great scene after another. I mean, we had a great scene at the courtroom when he applied for a boxing license. Then we had a great scene, Rocky and Paulie at this demolished ice rink, and you see those flashbacks. That was very touching, you know. And there was a great scene at the dog pound when they get punchy, you know, that was a great scene. And there was another great scene with Rocky and little Marie in the van, or in Las Vegas at the hotel room. So all great scenes. But if I have to pick one or two, it would have to be the first one I would pick would be the one with Rocky and Paulie at the meat factory, when Rocky talks about, you know, sometimes it's difficult to breathe and he still feels that beast inside him, and there is still stuff in the basement, and then he has this emotional breakdown saying that he never knew that life's supposed to be so hard, you know, and that was just heartbreaking to see Rocky standing there in this meat factory having this emotional breakdown. And I thought it was great that Rocky let himself be so vulnerable in front of Paulie, because Paulie is not exactly the most sensitive guy, you know, but it completely worked, and I thought the friendship between those men deepened even more in this moment. So that was a really, really touching scene. I loved it. And then of course my favorite scene also was the epic speech Rocky had with his son outside the restaurant on the street, when Rocky told him, look, life is ugly, you know, and nothing hits harder than life. It will hit you and beat you down to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. And it's not about who can hit harder, it's about how much you can get hit and then still move forward. That was just mind-blowing. I loved that speech. That was awesome writing again by Stallone, and great delivery. So that was definitely my favorite scene. And this is a speech I will never forget in my life. It's just so powerful, and I'm sure a lot of people feel like that, and in hard times they think about that speech, that it's not about how hard you can hit, but it's about how hard you can get hit and still move forward. So that was brilliant. And then of course we had the last fight, you know, between Dixon and Balboa, and that was very exciting, very well done. It was very dramatic, it went back and forth, you know, it was brutal, and they used some creative black and white footage and very creative editing. I mean, they really kept this fight going. And also, by the way, that, you know, Dixon broke his hand, I think it was in the second round. I thought that was a very nice touch by the writer again, because, you know, the commentator said that Dixon didn't show up in his best shape, and then he broke his hand, and that kind of makes this whole thing again a little bit more realistic, because now it kind of evens out the fight a little bit. And I thought that was very nicely done to get closer to reality, you know. And then of course we had great moments in this fight when Rocky was getting beaten down, and then he had his flashbacks, you know. He saw, at one point he saw Adrian, and then Mick was there, and Mick was saying something about get up, you know, take him on. And then Rocky gets up and the music swells and the people applaud. It was like this dramatic moment, but it really worked. It was very inspiring and pumped me up, you know. And then of course we have the end, and we have a split decision, and again I think that was a nice choice. That it actually reminded me of Rocky 1, you know, the first one, because it was all about going the distance, and I felt the same way with Rocky Balboa. I just wanted him to go the distance, you know, and all the people wanted to see him go the distance. It wasn't really about winning, you know, it was about going the distance, and I think that was one of the reasons why people loved that Rocky Balboa so much, because it reminded us, even if it was subconsciously, you know, it reminded us of the first movie that was so awesome. And then of course an epic ending, you know, like Rocky walks out of the arena or is on his way out, and he turns around and he gets greeted and applauded and cheered on by thousands of fans, you know. And I observed something very interesting. I try to explain. I suddenly saw Rocky standing there, and I saw him morph into Sylvester Stallone. And Stallone was there kind of being Rocky. So I felt that the character and the person who played the character became one in this moment. And the reason why I say that is, if you know acting, then you know that whatever the actor says in a scene is not really what the real person playing the character says. You know, for example, if Rocky, for example, yells at his son, now in reality, that's what we see as the audience. We see Rocky yelling at his son, but in reality, Sylvester Stallone, who's playing the character, might actually yell at his father, who died a little over 10 years ago. So there's a difference between the person and the character. But in that last moment when Rocky or Stallone stood there in the arena, taking in all the applause from the people, I saw Rocky thinking, wow, I did it again. I went the distance. That's amazing. At the same time, I saw Stallone with the same satisfaction on his face, thinking, wow, I did it again. I produced Rocky 6 and it's going to be a success. I saw those two people morph together and that was just amazing to see. I really, really loved it. And talking about Stallone, let me mention two moments in regard to his acting, because I read on the trivia page that, for example, first example, when Rocky was screwing in the light bulb and then it was so freaking bright, you know, and Rocky said, whoa, yikes, bingo, you know, what's going on? So that was not scripted at all. Those lines were not in the script. I read that everybody was kind of surprised, and especially Stallone was surprised how bright this light bulb actually was. But since he is such a professional, he just went with it, you know. He didn't break the character for one fraction of a second. He just stayed with it, and whatever impulses he felt, like, yo, yikes, you know, bingo, and then he just continued the scene. And that's how you can recognize a real professional, because a lesser actor might have said, oh my God, this is bright. Oh, sorry guys, let's do it again. And it wouldn't be a big deal either, because you know, we always take more than one take usually. So it's okay for an actor to stop and then you just start the scene over, you know. But if you're a professional, you go with it, and those moments are gold, because you can't fake those moments, you know. And the second moment is even more amazing, I think, is when Rocky talks to little Marie about getting a job at the restaurant, and she keeps dancing around the problem, and then Rocky says, you know, you might as well dance with me. I'm not the best dancer, but I'm probably better than the average bear. And he looks into the distance for a second and says, where that came from, I don't know. And he smiles and the scene continues. Again, this line was not in the script. This was a thought that just entered his mind while doing the scene, and he, being such a professional and a great actor, he uses that and delivers the line as if it's part of the scene and continues without breaking the character for one fraction of a second. I have to say again, a lesser actor, if you do a scene and some thoughts enter your mind that have nothing to do with the scene, a lot of actors get confused. They might forget the lines. They're being snapped out of the character for a moment, and it feels awkward and weird, and often they stop the scene and say, sorry, can we do it again, or whatever, you know. And it's very understandable, because you really have to be comfortable with yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your character wants. You have to know what the scene is all about, and then just be in the moment, and whatever happens, happens. And that line just entered his mind, and he just said it, and even said, where that came from, I don't know, and he continues the scene. That is brilliant acting. I have to say, Sylvester Stallone is a brilliant actor, he's a brilliant writer, and he's a brilliant director. Really amazing. So that's that. And then of course we had this amazing end, you know. It didn't end with the movie, it just continued with the credits. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They showed all this footage from all those different people running up the stairs and jumping up and down and boxing and jumping the rope and dancing and doing push-ups and everything. And that just shows you how much power a movie can have, how much you can influence society and the world. You know, it's just amazingly powerful to see that. That's why I had to leave it in, you know, in our reaction, because it was just mind-blowing. So as you can tell, I really loved a Rocky Balboa movie. I mean, I love the franchise. I have to say that this Rocky franchise is probably the best thing I have ever seen in my life. It's really fantastic. And because I liked it so much, and as promised, I will do a little compilation of some boxing footage when I trained, you know, some boxing training that I did. And I went to my old hard drives and I found some clips, and I thought, in honor of this Rocky franchise, I put a very short little compilation together for you guys. So I'm going to play that now, and then we will see you at the next one. Okay? Thanks for being here. Thanks for your support. I see you soon. Bye. it's gonna kill me one day.
Yeah, but it's a good death.
Yeah, slow death, but it's worth it. Good job.
Let's talk to the trainer. How's Mike doing?
Mike's coming along, man. He strong kid. He gets some power, but he got to work on his boxing more. You know, he's a good puncher, but he kind of crude. So I'm trying to smooth him out, get him relaxed in there, trying to think more, trying to use the jab more instead of just trying to brawl all the time, trying to think in the ring.
What about one sentence philosophy about life?
Machiavelli, one man struggle to take it easy. That's it.
Getting slowly into shape. Although Mac always finds a way to push so much that I'm just exhausted, man. Yeah. All right.